What's going on, everyone? Video 20. This video is high school teachers of Reddit. What is the one thing you want your students to know that you never tell them in person? Posted by 2 Minutes to Sundown. First one. When you think you are being a genius by getting me to talk about random things at the beginning of class instead of teaching, I'm really allowing it to happen because I don't have enough planned to cover a full class. I knew you were cheating, so I gave you a test with the answers in a different order for the rest of the semester. You clearly weren't very bright to figure it out, and yes, I am that spiteful. It was easier than reporting the cheating. One day you're going to come across people who are not being paid to tolerate you, and all of a sudden life is going to become considerably more difficult. I encourage my worst kids as much or more than my favorites because I don't want them back in my class next year. If you're jerking off in class, we can tell. This reminds me of my one buddy. He wasn't jerking off, but in some way it relates. So he was in class with our one buddy, but he was in this phase of just whipping his dick out and showing everyone, primarily just guys, which is really weird, but that's what he was into. And he was sitting in the back of class, and our friend was sitting in the opposite side of class, so he takes his dick out and just starts whipping it around, still while sitting and under the desk, and he's calling over to our buddy, and obviously says it loud enough to get the teacher's attention, turns around and just catches my buddy just wiggling his dick under his desk. She immediately just turns around, starts writing on the chalkboard. From what everyone said, he's never been redder in the face. That we have much better hearing than you assume. We just choose our battles as it pertains to inappropriate comments, and sometimes I pretend not to see the thing you did just because I too found it humorous, and speaking to you about it would only result in me cracking up. If you're going to eat in class, stop staring at me while you're doing it. You're ratting yourself out. I can smell you. Everyone can. Please, for the love of God, use deodorant. This one kid, I'm not going to say his name, in my high school, did just that. He refused to shower. He smelled like shit. And I stayed away from him. I didn't torment him. I wasn't that type of person. But the torment that I've seen other people do to him, it was horrible. And the kid just sat there doing nothing. He didn't say anything back. He'd kind of just make odd faces at him and then turn around and go back to his work. I mean, that kid, he's probably the worst smelling kid I've ever been around. And I mean, 10 years later out of high school, he probably still smells. But anyway, that it's just as weird for me as it is for you when we bump into each other out in public. Instead of responding to all, I'll tell my story here. I went on vacation with my then girlfriend and bumped into a student 3 states over. We both kind of shook our heads no at each other and kept walking, silently agreeing to not address it. I saw the same student 2 months again 2 months later during the summer at a concert where there were underage drinking. We just shook our heads at one another again, keeping the same silent agreement. I saw this same student 4 more times during the summer entirely by accident. It was never discussed. Yeah, I saw my teacher out at a bar once when I was in high school. It was like a shitty dive bar. Didn't ID. But yeah, I was there drinking with a couple of my buddies. My teacher walks in, make eye contact, said nothing the whole time. Didn't stop me. Made for a pretty awkward moment when I saw him back in high school, or back in class. He didn't mention it though, so. You know what, Jono? You're a little cunt. I could only imagine the amount of teachers that want to say that. I don't care that you came from class to class stoned. Just stop interrupting class, and for God's sake, don't touch any power tools while you're stoned. The weed smell doesn't magically disappear between the parking lot and my classroom. Yes, I do have favorite students. No, I won't tell you who they are because they would discourage you. But yes, they're probably who you imagine them to be. All you have to do to figure that out, look to see who's buddy-buddy with the teacher and who gets special treatment. Simple. If I didn't think you would abuse the situation, I would really enjoy being more human and casual around you. I think you are a fun person to be around. My gamer tag, I usually say there's a policy against it, but there isn't. I just don't want to play Overwatch or whatever with a bunch of relatively good kids who turn into total monsters when they play video games. If I tell the cool ones, it'll get around. I'd imagine the hot teachers are very aware of students' perceptions of them. You don't even have to be particularly hot. It's more like this. We're aware of the fact that for some students, the intimacy and power dynamics, coupled with age difference, can be erotic. I just pretend not to notice when I get certain looks. I'm a guy, by the way. Jumping on this to add something important that would otherwise get buried. Yes, we are fully aware that X teacher is incompetent, mean, stupid. We toe the line and show solidarity because otherwise there would be chaos. Along similar lines, I'm laying down the law on this particular idiotic policy that administration came up with because they could fire me for not doing so. I fucking hate it even more than you do. One of the reasons they came up with it is because you guys are idiots with no impulse control. We're all in this together, you little fucks. I can definitely hear the horrible things you are saying. Yes, I see that you are on the other side of the room. I may be old to you, but I'm certainly not deaf. Also, the teenage boy is definitely going to buy you a Big Mac in exchange for oral sex. 100 out of 100 times. What teenage girl is offering this? No boy would turn that down. Like she said, 100 out of 100 times. I wish I was offered that. I would have been buying Big Macs for everyone. I'm a bus driver. Sit the fuck down. You will die if I crash. I had an eccentric literature teacher in high school, Dr. Patek. He was required to teach the Odyssey. He absolutely hated it, so much so, he taught us off the cliff notes. He explained how he was teaching it to us under protest in this very thick Polish accent. Just another example, he organized the class into rows, then gave each person a rank. The first in the row was the captain, and so on. You got promoted or demoted for getting answers right, but also for completely arbitrary reasons. It kind of makes the class more interesting. Please stop juuling in the classrooms. That's what the bathrooms are for. I actually teach middle school rather than high school, but I'll play. I love them a whole bunch. I do actually tell them this. That's not the thing. But goddamn, every single middle schooler is an asshole. Like even the best ones. They're all assholes. You can't help it at that age. Part of the process of being a good middle school teacher is accepting the assholishness and figuring out ways to work with it. Don't worry, guys. Your peers and you will stop being assholes soon. Most of you, anyway. Also, all the things you think your parents and teachers don't know about, we do. We've done it all. We just would prefer not to think about you doing it because you're much too young. Edit. Sure, you weren't an asshole when you were in middle school. You're the exception. Congratulations. You're a special person. You win the trophy. I've taught more than 700 kids in my career, but I didn't teach you, so I don't know. A lot of us probably drink, smoke, sleep around, etc. more than you do, and hearing you talk about it and trying to hide it as if it's something we wouldn't know about is richly ironic. Honestly, some of the teachers I'm friends with are probably the wildest people I know. They're always out at the bars, smoking, they're doing everything. A few off the top of my head. Just because I like you as a person doesn't mean that I won't fail you. Being smart isn't a justification for being lazy, and I can't pass someone that never hands in work. I moved you away from your friends because they were taking you down with them. You have a real future in sports, but you need to pass my class to play them. Your friends were making you fail, and if you don't get to play volleyball, I don't know what kind of future you have in front of you. I wish that the positivity that you get in my class could follow you home. I've met your parents, and they are a nightmare. I do my best to encourage you here, but I know that, some days, that just might not be enough. I have never and will never find a student intimidating. That's why I laughed at when you asked me if I knew who your father was. Yeah, he's the manager of a car dealership. That means nothing to nobody. I had a kid throw a desk at me, and while it scared me in the moment, it didn't make me fear him. One day, you'll meet someone who has real power, and I just wish that I could be there to see it. You're unique. You're not special. Set your goals high, but understand that if you change your goals to needs, you'll have a lifetime of disappointment. That my students are the reason why I second guess having my own kids. And that's how I feel with my nephew, and I love my nephew, but he is plenty of birth control. I see him, I have fun with him, give him back to my brother. That's all I want. That's all I need. One of the most valuable lessons I can teach you is to fake looking busy. If we're supposed to be working on an assignment or reading or whatever, and you see me coming your way, at the least have a piece of paper on your desk and a pen in your hand and some shit on your paper, and then I won't bother you. If you have nothing going on and can't even be bothered to make it look like you're trying, I'm heading your way. This lesson will be invaluable with eventual bosses someday. That's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully stick around for the next video.